Hey everyone, it's Joe Sangle with the Monday Money Tip Podcast presented by Fully Funded Life. We're committed to helping you every single Monday get right now relevant information to help you, yes, you, live your fully funded life. I'm joined by my co-host, Megan Hibbard. Are you doing great on this fine Monday?
I am doing great. Monday, we're doing it, diving in.
So, just to summarize the podcast that we're going to talk about here, we're going to talk about this topic.
Yep, the bad retirement advice to avoid.
And we're going to tell you the 4 things that we're going to talk about, then we'll do the details. Here we go. Bad advice, just set it and forget it. That's bad advice. You don't want to take any risk. It's scary. And just use your inheritance. You don't need to worry about it. And the 4th one, I've started too late, so I have to gamble big time, or why bother? All right, you ready to dive into them?
Yep.
Let's go with the first one.
All right, so the first one is just set it and forget it.
This one drives me crazy. And it's the thing that really hurts people financially. And that is, I'm just going to make my investment choices at my 401k and just set it and forget it. I don't even look at the things when they send them to me in the mail. I don't even open them. They're in the pile over there. I know they're important. You know, I don't know what I'm doing. So I just met with some person back then and they told me what to do and it sounded smart. So I just set it and forget it. That could be good. It could be colossally horrible.
Right.
We call that a stranded ox, a abandoned ox. Doesn't mean the ox isn't getting nice and fat and eating good grass. It also doesn't mean that it might be starving and falling down, or that somehow or another the options got changed and all your money's going to cash and is no longer being put in the investments. That maybe the 401k provider got changed. You cannot just set it and forget it.
Yeah.
What would you say to that? Like setting it and forgetting it. Like, how have you set up your simple RA? Do you have it automatically invested, or do you go make the investment? How do you do that?
Right now ours is automatically invested, but it is something that we review and look at. We try not to set it and forget it for sure. Mm-hmm. But I feel like a lot of times people go into it and it's overwhelming. And so it's, okay, well, I'm at least doing it. So I'm at least doing something so I can check that box of,
yeah,
I'm investing for retirement. So Isn't that good enough? And it's like, I mean,
well, it's a great start.
How well do you want to retire? You know? So it's definitely like,
it can be very bad retirement advice. Just set it and forget it.
Yeah.
It's easy to say and it sounds great. Oh, great. I don't have to deal with it. But you want to deal with it. And what I encourage you to do is just set it. Yes. And you can forget it for brief periods of time.
Right.
But at least annually, you should review it and get wisdom from a competent professional.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I had a great privilege of meeting with a couple here in the office. They wanted to start planning for retirement. What age do you think they were?
30.
They were not 30, but they also were not retirement age, 67. They were getting ready to turn double nickels. They're both 54, getting ready to be 55. They've got 12 years and they have been investing, right? And they have not just set it and forget it. They've been paying attention. And they're looking for the next step for the next decade, next dozen years. And you know what? Because they're not just setting it and forgetting it, and I hope I'm a competent professional helping them, you know what? They're not going to be regretful, like many people are who are like, we need to talk about retirement planning. And you're like, okay, when do you think about retiring? And they're like, well, I'm retiring next week. And it's like, your decision options are going to be less than if you came to us a dozen or 20 years ago. Don't just set it and forget it. Let's go to the next one.
Yep. All right. So our next one is, you don't want to take any risk.
Risk is creepy. It's scary. It's very scary. It's very scary. But like risk. Tell me about when you first started investing. Did it feel scary? Like, how did you feel about investing when you first started investing on your own?
I mean, I think everything you start to do at first is scary. It's different. You don't know. You don't want to make the wrong decision. Like, I don't want to invest in something that they're going to go under or they're going to go out of business.
So your first job where you got retirement contributions was Jaws of Life manufacturer? I don't know if you know, Megan used to work for the company that makes Jaws of Life.
I did. Yeah, it was pretty cool. My first day on the job, I got to cut a car open.
Woo! Get fired up.
Yeah.
That'd be an awesome job.
It was. I mean, that
We
was
don't
not.
get to do that.
I was in like marketing and
There
sales.
wasn't a human in it,
No.
right? Okay, that's
They
good.
just, the police department or the fire department just drops off cars for us to cut.
That's awesome.
But I worked for my mom for a little bit, and I did get,
Serious?
yeah, I did get a retirement.
So in that first moment, how did you embrace that creepiness, that weirdness, that this could go down in value? Well, wait a minute here. There's risk. How did you embrace that? Was it because your parents helped you? You were able to ask them, the HR department? Was there a 401k benefits advisor?
Yeah, I mean, I think that
Was
one
it your
was
education?
a little different. But I feel like when I got to Jaws of Life and I was like officially living on my own, you know, I was grown up, I had graduated college, like I was doing it. There was an HR department, but I think because I had prior knowledge of things and my parents had talked to me about it and we had gone through it and I had seen what they had done and like the success that they had and I knew there is a chance, but if you do it correctly, hopefully it goes
with
up.
Diversification.
Right.
Some will win.
Right.
And some of them will win big time and make you forget most of the ones you've lost.
Yeah.
So here's what I just want to tell each of you. If you're watching on YouTube, you know, just straighten up. Stop playing the solitaire game like I do when I listen to podcasts on YouTube. But I just want to look at you. I'm pointing at you if you're driving down the car or you're exercising. I'm just pointing at you. Imagine me pointing at you, which is kind of terrifying. Listen, if you don't take risk, you're still taking risk because inflation is going to erode the power of your money to buy things. So you cannot avoid risk. If you're driving a car, you're taking risk by driving. There are car accidents every day. If you're getting in an airplane, there is risk. There's risk to living. The only thing that has no risk is being dead. So you've got to take risk. So why not take informed, educated risk? It is bad retirement advice to say you should take no risk, especially once you retire, where people say, I'm going to take it all out of the market and I'm not going to take any risk. Well, you'll never be able to keep pace with inflation with CDs and with bonds. You will not be able to do so. And so it's bad retirement advice. Avoid it. What's the third one?
Yep. Just use your inheritance.
Mommy and daddy got me.
It's like
grandma and grandpa, they rolling in money.
This one's funny because I'm like, I know there's like people out there that are like, well, what inheritance?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
There ain't no inheritance coming. So
yes, you're like, hey, there's Joe. I'm not taking that bad retirement advice. There is no inheritance. Well, number one, you may be surprised. You may not be. But there are many people, I have heard them, they're saying things, they don't want to say it because they know it's weird to say it, but they're counting on mommy and daddy. That's what they're counting on. And I'm looking at them and I'm like, you know, my observations, I know your mommy and daddy. My observations are, you think that they're swimming in money, but they actually have a pension that dies when they die. Like it's gone. And yeah, they have a house, but they're not able to upfit the house, and that house is going to need a lot of work.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't think that inheritance is what you think it is. And what I've realized with this type of bad retirement advice is many people, because they're relying on mommy and daddy, they shirk their personal responsibility to provide for their own retirement. And so even if they do receive an inheritance, they have not gotten the knowledge of how to handle it to where when it's placed in their hands, it's literally placed in hands that can't handle it.
Yeah, it's
they blow it.
The same as a credit card.
Yeah.
We tell people with credit cards, like, credit cards aren't bad, but if you don't know how to use them, you're still
I saw
keep
somebody
using it
growing up, they got mommy and daddy's inheritance, and the next thing you knew, there was brand new cars, there was brand new everything, and that money was just Gone gone.
Right.
So it's bad retirement advice. Avoid it. All right, you ready for the fourth one? Let's go.
Yep. All right, number 4. I've started too late, so I have to gamble big time.
Or why bother?
Why bother?
Yeah. So either one is terrible, bad retirement advice. You know, I need to gamble big time. I got to put it all on this one stock. Well, listen, if it was Apple in the 90s, if you put it on that, any amount would be worth way more today. Right now, the big one is the NVIDIA with the AI chips. Amazon's been a big winner. But listen, the fact is, most stocks are not those. And if you put it all on that, might as well go to the casino and put it all on black, right? Because you're gambling that way. Diversified approach, using the ladder, even if you're starting late, you can finish rich. There's a great book by David Bach called Start Late, Finish Rich. I highly recommend you buy it.
Yeah. I feel like there's also, when you say like, why bother? There's the other side of it that I see. A lot of people younger than me are like, retirement's forever away. I don't need to worry about it. So why bother? You know, like why? I'm gonna miss my money now and I'll worry about retirement later. And I'm like,
there you go. The average math is if you forego a company match, because in your 20s, you're like, I'm just going to spend all the money. I don't want the match. If you forego the match itself, 40 years later at 65 is worth about $250,000 for the average salary. So listen, you do not have to gamble. Follow the ladder. And if you follow the ladder, even if you're starting late, the great news is you will eliminate debt, which will lower your cost of living. Ideally, you'll be able to get most of your house paid off, if not all of it paid off. So every dollar you're able to invest, that you're able to grow in a diversified, well-balanced risk portfolio will be worth way more because your cost of living has been substantially reduced.
Right. And maybe this course, maybe you're thinking, this topic I want to know some more about. Well, we have an entire course on retirement, the retirement course in our fully funded life membership platform that you can learn all about it.
We really think a lot about the titles of our courses. So it's the retirement course. And we really do encourage you, if you're not a part of Fully Funded Life community already, check it out at fullyfunded.life. We would love to be able to serve you in a more deeply, more meaningful way there as part of that community. Hey, we're grateful. No matter whether you're part of our membership community or part of the podcast community, we're just grateful that you stopped by. Hey, will you do us a favor? Will you like and subscribe and share it with a friend who you feel like could benefit from this podcast? We'll see you next Monday for another right now relevant topic to help you live your fully funded life. Have a great week, everybody. Hey everybody, Joe Sangl here. Thanks so much for watching this video. Hey, I encourage you to click the links that are provided to watch a lot of more helpful content that'll help you live your fully funded life. Thanks for being a part of our community.